Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of our Let's Build Sci-fi Skytrain Shopping Center. And in this episode, we're going to be finishing up the gray block and getting it to where it needs to be prepped for decorations. And then we're going to test the pathing system to make sure our guest traffic flow works properly. And then so we'll be ready for setting this thing up for decorations. So stay tuned and let's check it out. Alright, let's just dive right into it. So I'm going to be pretty much finishing up the gray block in this episode as mentioned. So we really want to fill in all the gaps. So you see me doing that here, and I just want to get a feel for the last bit of the space, and I want to try and fill in that train a little bit. So we put in some half walls to sort of hide it. I was trying to see if I could get a better fit for it, and end up going with a half wall and a quarter wall, and that did the trick. So I'm really pretty happy with the way things are looking, but I want to add more of a shopping center to it. So I had an idea of making this underground passageway, kind of like a tunnel that runs through the building, and then I want to have some stairways going up to it. So I want all these intertwining really cool paths and stuff, so the guests will be all over the place, coming out the sides, flowing through the top, going underneath, and really make this thing look alive and has lots of busyness from all angles. So having this tunnel here really would help create a little bit of that as well. And I'm thinking, well, we can have a shopping mall on the second level, a shopping mall on the ground level, and then I start digging out a hole here because I thought, well, what if we had the stairs going down to that next level so that people from the plaza area can go down to the tunnel area, and people from the tunnel area can come up to the plaza area. Adding all these really cool, intricate, intertwining pathways just really makes this thing that much more interesting. So I'm just trying to get a feel for the underground space so I could fit some shops in. Now, one problem I ran into here is that we didn't plan for a basement floor. So when we were doing our the med bay stacking that we did in episode 1, where we stacked up all the med bays to get an idea of our 5 floors and tiers, we didn't really account for any shops being on the bottom floor. So this is something I had to deal with in the end here, which we came up with a solution, which is to drop the floor down just a bit, and it does work out. In the final result, it's a little bit, there's like a little bit of a slope, but it's fine and it works out, and while I get to the decorating phase, it seems to look good and function properly. So I'm happy with it at the end, and we found a workaround. So here I'm just trying to figure out how I want to fill this area, and I just went with the vinyl, and we're going to do we want to save some room for decorating these walls. So I just really want to fill in the underground area and add some realism to the architecture. So more pillars, some more trim, all that sort of jazz. And just really looking around, seeing what else I can fill in here. I want to have these sort of balconies looking down, peering, and then we got to fill in the top of our building here to complete it. And it's just a matter of just our final touches on the architectural structure itself, just trying to fill things in, adding extra pillars, finishing off little bits here and there, trying to align things, get everything looking proper, bring these pillars over here, see how that looks, and just adding more stability to the structure overall, and just playing around with things, moving things around, looking, and we're really close to our final design. So I'm really just being picky and finicky at this point, just really trying to hit home the perfect little touches before we move on to decorating. And like I said in episode 1, I had the idea of having like a cascading fountain on this piece. That's why the tower pokes out the way it does. So I'm going in between, do I want it to be a balcony or do I want it to be a fountain? Do I want a fountain hanging off the edge of the balcony. And these are all things that are going through my head as I'm building this. And it's really, at this point, it gets really difficult because you want to, you want to hit it home and finalize the structure, but you're also, wanting to still try and be inventive, but you have way less wiggle room, and certain things just aren't looking right. And then, you're always fiddling. So these last stages are some of the most difficult stages because you're really just trying to perfect design. Like inside here, I'm thinking to myself, I didn't like how, I mentioned this in episode 1 where I didn't like how those things were crashing through, and I'd figure I'd come up with a solution later. So I took a stab at the solution, gave up, and I was like, I'll figure it out again later. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. Yeah, just like taking stabs at things, and that's what it's just saying. It's a little bit, this is the most irritating stage to me because you're really trying to plan for something that you don't know how it's going to turn out, because we still have to test our pathing and we want this to work properly. We need these final touches, and you're just really going through things with like a fine comb and just trying to wiggle out all the final details. So you see me just looking around at everything, trying to figure out, are we good with this? Are we good with this? And looking at all the tunnels, and maybe this spot needs to be filled in. And we're basically doing our final checks on everything. This is our quality assurance pass, making sure everything's up to snuff. There's no bugs. There's no art bugs. What can we add over here? And then I decided, okay, everything's looking pretty good. Let's go to some more final touches. I need to add in these top windows to the top here, and I realized duplicating them downward is going to be a problem. So if I make the row vertical first and then duplicate them together horizontally, it actually works a lot better because it maintains the sideways axis but not the, the diagonal axis. So much more efficient way of doing the windows. And then just wanting to adjust them. It's quite a little bit of a tedious job, but I like the way it turned out and looked. I wanted a little bit of trim, so I deleted the outer edges, and I didn't like the way the bottom was crashing in, so I put a little bit of a lip on. And then I decided, okay, well, let's do that to this one. And having these different angled glass pane windows, I really felt like it just brings out the character of this building a little bit more because we have so much glass on the upper levels. So I'm liking the way it looks, and I'm just really double checking everything again, wondering, should I make some windows here? Should I just fiddling with the final touches? And this is one spot where you just end up looking at things a lot. So I think I cut the video here and we go on to a new one because I'm really just double checking everything. So we'll see what I do in this next video starting right now. So I had the bank up, and that's right, we're moving on to coloring now. So I had my King Coaster's Royal Bank of Planet Coaster off to the right there, so I could just try and get an idea of how I color my sci-fi and just refresh my memory. So I want to test what it would look like if I colored all the pillars, and I was afraid that it would add too much strength and presence to it, but it turned out being pretty good. It added a lot more noise to the structure, and it separated, added a little bit of level of separation for the eye. It's not just this white blank giant building, and we separate things a little bit more. So I like the way that looked, so I was like, okay, if I just color all the pillars, that should be good. I didn't want to play around with coloring too much of the trim or the floor pieces because there's too many intersecting floor wall pieces, and once you start doing that, you can start running into problems. So I'm also noticing that my pillars are poking through the ceiling, which is a bit of a problem, so I had to go and delete those and readjust them. And sometimes they don't poke through the ceiling, as I mentioned, because maybe it's white and it's just enough where it's flat with the roof, but because the roof and the pillar is white, you don't see it. But the moment you color it gray, it starts poking through. So that's what I was saying. I don't want to go in and color the floor pieces separate from the wall pieces and all that stuff, because we could actually create a lot of bugs to fix, which means we have to reshape our whole building. So I wanted to play around with like just changing some of the base floors to kind of match Planet Gulpy. And I didn't like the upper plaza level being colored like that. So I figured maybe just the foundation would be good. So I go in and I select all the foundation pieces and I go and color them the darker gray. And I think that looked pretty good. It added that, again, nice separation between the foundation of the building and the actual upper structure of the building. And then I noticed there were some bugs shining through. You can see the walls there. It's starting to poke through. So I figured, well, we could cover this up with a little bit of trim. And the trim actually added a little bit more character to the building as well. So I like the way that turned out. And, you know, so things are starting to go fast again. So we're changing one thing and it leads to another. And it just kind of has a snowball effect. And, you know, you just start coming up with new ideas. Put some more trim up top. And things are... You know, a couple minutes ago I was talking about we're in a struggle phase, really just double checking everything, looking for things to change and doing a QA pass. And the moment we start doing color and then we think about adding trim, things start going quickly again and it's a smooth process all over again. And, you know, you start feeling like you're making big leaps and bounds in progress, which is great. So I was starting to like really speed up and have fun here again and starting to see this building shape up into something different than it was, you know, hours before. So this is a really good part of the process and, you know, really enjoying it. And we're just, you know, making our building look and feel a lot different than in the last episode. So I want to color the foundation of these side pieces as well. And I'm liking the way it looks. It's looking pretty good. So I'm pretty sure here is where I start to think about shops. Yeah, here we go. So I wanted to, like I said, this is going to be a SkyTrain or Monorail shopping mall or shopping center. So we're going to have all these buildings on the inside or shops on the inside for people to, you know, go downstairs and buy some stuff before they go to another section of the park, or when they get off from another section of the park, they can go shopping right away. And in my Sci-fi pack, there are 7 new shops added to the winter update, and I make all the Sci-fi buildings, and I do a small, large, medium Sci-fi building for all the shops. I haven't quite finished that series, but now with the 7 new shops, I have 21 new buildings to make, and I haven't made a single one yet. So this shopping mall was a great way for me to include all 7 new shops, plus some of the existing ones that I don't have as many buildings of. And then that way, when we build our sci-fi area of Yetiland, we're not missing out on a whole bunch of shops. Because I only had one Hats Fantastic shop in my sci-fi universe, we could add one in here. Because I only have one balloon shop in my sci-fi universe so far, we can add one in here. And same with all the new shops, we can add them all in here. That way, when we do build our sci-fi section, we pretty much have every shop in the game in our sci-fi section when using what I have in my universe plus this combined. So now we're just filling in our shops, our walls, and, you know, getting the floors looking right and the pillars. So there's walkway, they can come in, they pass by all these cool shops. So we really just need to fill things in. And then I thought, oh wait, this place doesn't have a bathroom. So we really need to add a bathroom. And this part was kind of tricky because I was like, oh, how do I do this? We've already built this thing here. Now I got to remove it, and there's not enough space. So I shuffled it over, and I was like, you know, I start building this in, but it just doesn't look right. And I'm thinking this as I'm doing it, like, you know, one bathroom for a giant shopping mall just doesn't seem like enough. So I definitely... something felt wrong about this, but the reason I have it there is because we didn't have enough space for 2 if we wanted to include that little circular corner piece, that curved bank piece. So I end up removing it and just saying screw it, we'll just you know, rearrange this a little bit and put in a second shop, and I think that works out a lot better. And as I'm doing this, we keep going back to this little problem here with the little sci-fi pieces here. And I finally end up resolving it here and coming up with something that works. And I was forced to face the issue finally. And I think this was the fix. So eventually finally fixed it. A little bit annoying. Finally got it though. And there it is. So I'm happy with that. And then I'm looking, going, all right, screw it. Let's delete this. Let's bring the shop over. We're going to have 2. And I saw it was poking through the corner of the wall. I was like, darn it. So we have to reshift everything over. And we're just going to have, I think I ended up putting an employee door there. So the janitors, whoever, who need to clean the bathroom, they can use the employee door. So it ended up working out because I always try to add a little bit of realism and tell a story. So we want to have proper employee doors, AC units, and all that jazz. And then we just extended the top balcony out over here. So it also helped make it less symmetrical. So now I got the bathrooms in, time to go downstairs and finish this little mini shopping mall area down here and just, fill that in. And then it's feeling pretty spacious as well. I like it. We have all these little fun nooks to explore, and I saved this area because I had the idea of either having ATMs out front or an information booth. So I decided the Looney Balloons and the information booth would be pretty great to have out front. So I switched the Looney Balloons and the hat stall around there. And then I also still wanted those ATMs and was trying to find a spot to put it. And here I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll put them here. And then I end up putting them against the wall where we just saw them last. And then I scrapped that idea later because it messed with the pathing going down the stairs. For some reason, the stairs couldn't get down because the ATMs were in the way. So we went back to the other spot underground, underneath that SkyTrain station later on, and we put them up against gardens and stuff. And you'll see that in the next episode. And it works out really great. So this shopping mall at the end of the day has a monorail station, I think 7 shops on the second level. We have maybe 7 shops on the bottom level. We have 2 shops out front. So what's that? A total of 16 shops, 2 bathrooms upstairs. So I guess 18. And then I think it has 4 ATMs. So we're looking at 22 different shops and facilities crammed into this one building. It's pretty wild. So I want to do some final touches, and this isn't, to me, putting the doorways on, it is decorating, but to me it's a structural asset. It's part of the walls, it's part of the floors and the pillars and stuff like that. I was having some weird problem with the ground here. I don't know what was up there. And so yeah, the doors are part of the structure. In my opinion, we just want to block them in, get them where they need to be, because they do have their own little pillars of their own and stuff like that. So it's included in the base of the building. And then I didn't like how the roof were poking out here, so I fixed that. And I'm just looking for little bugs that I need to fix, and I'm finding a few here and there. And that's pretty much it. We finished the base of our structure, got our shops in, and boom. Excuse me. We're jumping into a new map because I want different lighting, and it's an empty blank presentation map. So this way I can do a video explaining how the paths are done. So this pathing system you see here, I'm actually going to re-edit it down the road when everything's completed at probably normal or 2 times speed, explaining what I'm doing really thoroughly. So I'm really just like ripping through it when we're at 6 times speed, and you get an idea of how the pathing's done. And I think I'll turn this into a tutorial for anyone who downloads this thing, because they may, depending on their knowledge with the game, they may struggle at putting in the pathing system. But it's really not that bad at the end of the day, especially if you're experienced. But I do feel like a tutorial would be necessary for newer people. So, it is finicky, this system, and you have to use the grid, and you have to go in between different buildings and, work your way up from different areas to really get it working right. So I'm just really, at this point, testing to make sure, are these paths, are they even going to work? Is this thing going to be really problematic? And it seems to be working. So now that the paths are all in, I have to connect them all to the shops, which you see me doing there. Clink, 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 clink. And, just connecting it all together, and we have the final giant staircase, and it looks good. So it's all connected up, and we want to add a queue and exit for our SkyTrain station itself. So I block out a little queue So that's also why we wanted to build this station on the inside. So spacious, so we could squeeze in a queue here. And it's not the biggest queue, but you could make it a little bit bigger if you moved it over just a bit. There's a number of different ways you could place it, but I was really just doing this for testing purposes to see, it's a good enough size, especially if there's lots of trains coming in and out. You'll never really have a lineup anyways because the trains are so frequent. So I really wanted to just test it, get the monorail doing a loop or something, connect it to the park, open up some janitors, some other employees. I gave everybody $500 here just so nobody quits while we're testing, and we just can make sure everybody's completely happy, everybody's working efficiently. And then I'm actually slowing the footage down to, I think, 400% here. Let me check. I can't really see it. I think, yeah, I slowed it down to a 400% just so you guys can see it at a little bit slower pace. I'm checking here. This is another quality assurance pass. Checking traffic flow. Are people walking through walls? Are they taking corners properly? That's a bit of a problem with this game, and it's not. It's too hard. I mean, it is what it is. You can't really avoid it. So people will walk through some pillars, depending on how spaced out your paths are from corners, but you'll see this a lot in a lot of designs. The biggest problem here was this glass wall. I could see them walking through the glass wall. So the way I fixed it here is by adding a second glass pane. So I just increased the thickness of that glass wall so that you didn't see their bodies coming through it. But on the inside, they still brush up against it, but on the outside, you don't literally see their leg coming through the glass. So we can see them using the right paths, we can see them going underneath, we can see them using the underground walkways, they're going up the middle, they're using all the pathways as intended, and there's not too much congestion issues. The AI is navigating pretty good, they're choosing different routes, and it looks like everything is turning out pretty good. The only thing that didn't get much use was the side paths coming out on the left and right at the very back by the train station. But that's right now because we don't have any attractions or buildings on the outside over there. So they will use that once we start putting this down into a park. So that's the end of this footage, and it was a lot of Q&A, a little bit of testing and dabbling with things, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys like this series. Hopefully you like the SkyTrain station and how it's coming together. If you do, please be sure to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for more, and let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And stay tuned for the next episode because we're going to actually decorate this thing and get it to its final stages. And I still have a little bit work left to do before we can finish the series. So hopefully part 4 will come not too long after part 3. All right, everybody, I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.